Hello, Internet, and welcome to the Free-to-Play cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magicman. This is episode 258. We're recording on April 12th. You're watching it on Friday the 13th or later. And I almost clicked the wrong buttons to go to the intro shot here because of what was happening in the background. So let's just get to it. On the line, same host as last week due to some scheduling. Zach's going to be away for a couple of weeks again. We got some school-related stuff and schedule. He's got a little trip coming up and all that fun stuff. He'll be back. Troy obviously was just here 2 weeks ago. He'll be back probably next week. So, but on the line, oh God, Mr. Jason Winter, how are you, sir?
Yo, dudes and dudettes, we're going back to the 80s. I am your host, Funkmaster J, and I didn't further into the intro than this.
I just want you to know how you pronounce that.
I said funk.
It did not sound like funk.
Oh, that's totally bogus, man. Why are you harshing my cool?
There goes YouTube ads, totally gone, not ad-friendly. Also on the line, not in 80s apparel to celebrate our first topic, Ms. Quinlan Bowers.
Dude, I don't have anything left from the 80s. I do still have some grunge stuff from the 90s, though.
Well, there you go. Can you, every time, can you angle your camera down a little bit? Every time I set the shot, something changed. There we go. Oh, perfect.
I move around, I know.
Perfect.
And
well, and now Jason's gone. And now Jason is just look at that shirt. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Sorry, I forgot about my other prop. You brought that up. It's like I don't think I have anything either. Like this shirt I bought, like 5 years ago or whatever. But put the camera back on me.
It is. We got the.
Okay, it doesn't look like it on the screen here. When I went home with my parents a few years ago. My dad had this drawer full of clothes that I used to wear when I was a kid, back in the early mid-'80s. None of it fit me. We threw it all out, but I did keep one pair of socks that I absolutely loved when I was that age.
He's got party socks.
And you can't see it really probably on the camera, but this actually has it still has a little bit of the sparkly stuff here on the gray, a little bit of shiny, sparkly stuff. But I loved these socks when I was like 10 years old.
Dude, a friend and I were having discussions about, again, I guess late 80s, early 90s girls' socks. Do you remember the scrunchy socks that all the girls wore?
Oh, yeah.
Where they'd squish them down, but you had to wear 2 or 3 pairs.
Yeah, you always had multiple pairs on of different colors. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We're old. All right, let's slide over and see what all this 80s shit is about in the news. That kind of reminded me, there was something I saw while I was at Barnes & Noble last night, Jason, that I was like, I'm gonna pick that up, and we can use that on the free-to-play cast in our intros before we get to the news. It was a game of, like, top 10 lists, and it was a, in, like, 5 seconds, we could bang through one on each show. I don't know. I figured I'll do it. It's, like, top 10 names for, other names for money. And just see how many of them we can get real quick, just to warm up for each cast.
Didn't we try the kind of 80s style game show on this?
We did.
Before?
We did.
You got the intro music and everything.
I do. But let's get started with some. We'll take the sad part of this news first, and then we'll look at the other part and see whether it's sad or good or whatever. So the first part of this news comes from Boss Key Productions, the team behind LawBreakers, the much maligned MMO bomb game that we tend to bash a little bit. Well, about 4 months ago, if you were a LawBreakers player, or maybe just watching it out of morbid curiosity, that was probably the last time you really saw anything from Boss Key. They released a roadmap. Of course, they didn't follow through on it, on many of the items, many of the big items in particular. And then nothing much happened after that, and it's been really, really quiet on the Boss Key / LawBreakers front. And I think, Jason, we all kind of saw the very obvious writing on the wall, combined with their numbers and the sales and Nexon writing them off, and now they're not talking. What's going to happen, right? Are they going to make a free-to-play conversion? Are they going to shut it down? Was it really bad and it's going to shut Boss Key down, right? I mean, this was their only title as far as the public was aware, so... And it's certainly the only one that had a chance to gain revenue, even if they were working on other titles. And we've seen bigger studios that are working multi-million-dollar projects shut down all of a sudden because the marquee title that just left didn't do well. So it wouldn't be unheard of for something to happen like that. Well, they made some decisions and finally released them, but I don't think they're what some of us expected, Jason.
Yeah, they said that, first of all, the fact that LawBreakers failed to find enough of an audience to generate the funds necessary to keep sustained in the manner we originally planned for and anticipated. It's basically, they said right off, it didn't make enough money.
Right. Well, okay, right. Nobody's going to argue or say anything different.
Sure.
And I think they kind of were forced to say that, by the way. If you say anything different as the reason, we know you're full of shit.
Oh, so you could say that, but I can't say Funkmaster. Okay, fine. All right. So they went on to say, while a pivot to free-to-play might seem like the easiest change to make, a change of this magnitude takes publishing, planning, and resources to do it. So, I mean, they have a publisher, Nexon, which sort of is, maybe doesn't care about them anymore.
Right, they've written it off, for lack of a better term, so they don't care.
They already have, loot boxes in it.
Yeah.
So they've got that kind of, basic monetization. I don't know if otherwise they sell skins or characters. They probably don't sell characters. You buy the box to get it all. But that would seem like it wouldn't require a whole lot to make it free to play. Just pretend it's a long Steam sale or a free weekend.
Yeah, and Q, we started talking about this in the background when the news broke, and we were like, well, wait, they have the stash boxes. So they already have the loot boxes. Those are available for cash, or you can farm up stuff in-game and maybe buy them, and you get them. It's very similar to Overwatch. Like, you level, and you get one as a reward, that type of deal. So, really, where is the free-to-play Switch? Why is the free-to-play Switch hard on this one? It would seem that all you have to do, at least initially, maybe you want to add to it to make more money or more options to make money. Fine, I get that, but wouldn't just taking the box price off be your free-to-play Switch, Q? At least initially?
I mean, you'd kind of think so, right? And I'm wondering what they mean by resources. Oh, by the way, if I completely cut out, my thing's been acting weird the whole time you guys have been talking. So, yeah. But
please don't leave me alone with 80s man. Don't leave me alone with Funkmaster J.
You have to wonder though.
That's Funkmaster, not Master.
My apologies.
Okay.
You still sound incredibly like so suburban white when you say it. It just doesn't sound right coming out of your mouth. Anyway, the resources thing. What do they mean by resources? Are they just short on staff and they don't want to hire more? Or maybe they don't have enough artists to create enough cosmetics and stuff for it. Maybe that's the problem. They've sent everybody to do something else. Maybe that's what it is. Because I do remember companies, certain companies talking about like, well, we need the artists for this kind of, so maybe that's it. They just don't have the people to make the stuff that people are going to want to buy, like skins and all of that.
And I don't think anybody would have argued this point or even really debated this point, Jason, on whether, it seems very easy for you to at least make an initial free-to-play switch. Take your price tag off. You already have some base monetization in the game, so you already have a revenue stream there. But if you're going to shut it down, then okay, fine. Now I understand we don't have resources. We don't want to allocate people to this in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, there might be a little monetization, but as far as making some serious bank, one, we don't think the game's going to do it, and two, we don't want to put in, like Q said, a couple of artists to ramp up some stuff over the next X months and get some more. But they made a weird decision after this. The game's not shutting down.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I could see if you just want to say, okay, we don't want to spend anything on it, let's get rid of it completely. But if you're going to keep it going, keep, your 6 players on the server or whatever, if you can, your server could probably handle more than that. You're not going to be running up more costs by having 500 or whatever out there. I have to believe maybe they've got a US West and a US East server or something like that. So maybe you consolidate those into one, and maybe that would still work. But if you're going to keep it going and keep at least some minimal resources, some minimum that is required to keep it running at all, why not try and hope you can get a few hundred of the people, make a few grand or tens of grands or whatever, and get at least something out of it.
Yeah,
you're shutting it down completely, sure, but if you're going to keep it around,
yeah,
do something.
If they were going to close it, I don't think any of us would. Oh, you probably should have gone free to play just to take a stab at it. But if somebody says no, we don't want to spend X number of dollars on a server, even much less any personnel. All right, fine. It flopped. No big deal. Q, this is the part that I don't understand, though. If you are committed to, and they said it's a maintenance mode, they're not going to be doing anything to the game. You would think that dog is huge. It's not. If they're already committed to, we're going to put it in maintenance mode, we're not doing development, we're not doing anything to it, but we're not going to take it offline. We're still going to leave it on. If you want to play, go ahead and play. Just don't expect us to make any changes or add anything to it. It is what it is at this point. We're leaving this project totally, which was basically what they said. It wasn't implied. They're leaving this project totally the way it is. Well, then you're already committed to X number of dollars to leave a server online. I really don't understand at that point saying, if this is a lost cause to us, but we're still going to spend money to leave it online for a little while, what do you have to lose by saying, Steam, take the box price off of it, let's see what happens. Do people roll in? Does it catch a little bit of a following? Do we start getting a couple of bucks from the cosmetics and the stash boxes that are in the game already? And then maybe look at it a few months and say, all right, we are making some scratch. Do we want to put some resources into it and try and make a little more? Do we want to leave it as is, or do we want to close it down now? You've already decided you're going to leave the server on. You think somebody's going to spend the box fee at this point? That's so important to you that you're leaving it on there?
I mean, and that's the thing. They're leaving a server open for what, one person? So, I mean,
it's just Cliff.
It's just Cliffy B. But I mean, the thing about it is they have, I don't know how many people actually bought the game, but if there's been like a person playing for hopping in and playing, or I don't know, even 5, nobody's going to return to it if there's not going to be anything new.
I don't understand the point of leaving the box price there. So if you're a free player and we're saying, hey, if that goes free, I'm going to check it out, you're out now. You're not going to check it out because it's not going to go free. If Jason bought this 6 months ago and has been waiting for X changes or whatever, you already have his money. He ain't jumping in now because the game's dead. Whatever change he was waiting for isn't going to happen. But you're still going to leave the server on and run that cost no matter how minimal it is anyway. Flip the switch, drop the box price, and just see where it goes. You don't have anything to lose if you're going to leave the damn thing on.
If only we could keep tracking how many new people come to the game and use Steam Spy to do it. Oh wait, no, we can't.
Oh wait, we can't.
Though Steam Spy up to 2 days ago says it has about 65,000 owners on Steam.
Owners. Wow,
total.
That's 65,000, not
65,000.
Yeah.
Really? That many?
Now that said, I believe
that's an astonishing number to me, actually.
Well, but they did. I think that would include something like the fact they did free weekends. So if you have it installed, if you had it on Steam, I think that counts it.
Oh yeah, okay.
It says in the last 2 weeks, plus or minus a pretty wide variety, but plus 725 total players over 2 weeks.
To me, Jason, this just kind of adds to the very bizarre decisions we see coming out of Boss Key at various points. Hey, we're going to make this free-to-play game. Oh, no, we're not. We're going to put a price tag on it. And then we're going to deliberately poke jabs at Overwatch, because that's smart, right? Yeah, I get going after...
And we're gonna, oh, no, Nexon was the one who played PUBG for it. Yeah, that's right.
I get trying to go after the big dog, but you weren't even in the big dogs category here. Okay, so poke the bear, fine. Well, you got bit. And we're going to talk about some even stranger decisions too, but this one for me is just, if you're committed to leaving the server on, remove your box price and see what happens. I can't imagine you're going to get many box sales now, and it's a stupid barrier to put when you could make $5 in stash boxes off of Jason as he jumps in to try it out. Go ahead, Q.
You think it's a tax write-off thing?
Well, I mean, Nexon did
kind
of refer to it as a write-off.
Right, but I'm saying, like, to declare losses. So, hey, we've been running the server, nobody's been playing, so this is a loss.
But isn't that the same case if they've invested whatever $10 million in development, only make $4 million back? Whether they make $4 million or $6 million back, it's still a loss.
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, and that's the only other reason I can think of. It's like people who buy apartment buildings and just totally let them collapse around the people living in them until they're forced to move out. That kind of thing. Like that's the So we've got this infrastructure here, but nobody's using it.
It just seemed really bizarre to me. Like, I was with them when they said free-to-play is a bigger conversion than you think, and it takes publishing and planning and resources. I'm with you on that. I understand the back end of this, that sometimes it's not as easy as you think, and it does cost money and resources. And so I expected the next sentence to be, therefore, the game is shutting down. When it wasn't, then I was totally baffled. And they were really weird in some of the other wording here, talking about that they are dedicated or determined to give this game the second life it deserves. Well, what does that mean?
I don't know.
If you're leaving it completely, but you're putting it out there that we're committed to give... No, it doesn't sound like you're committed to anything now.
Well, wouldn't giving it a second life at this point, from what they've done, be the equivalent of doing what Phonecom did with Secret World Legends, or what
making it free to play?
Doing with the other D name.
Defiance.
Yes, that one.
The other D game.
Yeah.
The other D game.
What I think of it as is like when we talked last week about Breakaway.
Yeah.
And how they said, Amazon said, we're banning this for now, but if a bolt of inspiration strikes us, we'll go back to it. That's kind of what this is. If a freaking miracle happens, we'll go back to this game, but we're not, because we don't want to. Everybody who bought it, we don't want to think we're banning it, quitting, whatever. We really are.
They aren't playing anyway. The people that bought it aren't playing playing it anyway. You have nothing to lose by going free to play and see if it catches a niche little market of a couple hundred players.
I can't think of something else they don't want to spend the resources on for a free to play game, though.
What's that?
People to actually quality of life people to moderate it, to avoid farming and all of the stuff that happens with free to play games.
I don't think you need that, though. You've already made it clear that this is what it is. It's like Secret World Legends. There's not a lot of the Secret World. You go play on that. There's not a lot of moderation or anything going on in there anymore.
That's fair. There's not a lot of people in there.
Right, but it is what it is, and this isn't the type of game where you're going to see bots farming stuff up to try and sell to other players. It's not that type of game. Let me ask this before we move on to because this was announced April 5th, by the way, so a week ago today. It pretty much broke right after.
About an hour after we did
right after we recorded last week's Free to Play cast. Let me ask you this, and I think maybe I'm getting this idea from the determined to give this game the second life it deserves comment, but their unwillingness to make it free to play or anything now. I'm wondering if Boss Key wants to get this back from Nexon. Nexon obviously owns a portion of this, or has whatever their publishing contract is. Boss Key doesn't want it to die. We're going to leave it on. We don't want to make it free to play because we kind of want this back now. We want to get this back from Nexon, and at some point we think Nexon will just cancel this. And we're determined, as Boss Key, not Boss Key and Nexon, but we're determined at some point to give this the second life it deserves, a.k.a. we now have all of our rights back. We're going to launch it as a free-to-play title. Possibility, or am I overanalyzing?
They did make that really shady comment about publishers when they announced the other thing. So
yes, they did, which we're going to get to in a second.
The other thing I wonder is, again, who owns the rights to LawBreakers, to the characters, to the universe? Do they maybe want to make a PvE game or something like that, or a shooter or something? Maybe that's what they have sort of brewing in the back of their minds.
I think maybe making it free to play puts a little bit of a risk of it making a little bit of scratch out there and enticing Nexon to just maybe leave it there.
Okay.
Rather
than
getting Nexon to say, we're done, we're closing this, contract null and void, and Boss Key now has their game to do whatever they want. And to cue your point, they weren't exactly nice about public. And Cliff has never been a traditionally nice guy when it comes to working with publishers and things like that. Anyway, he's always that's not been his forte as far as liking that environment where you have an overlord, so to speak. So I'm not surprised that it probably sounds like it didn't work out with Nexon all that well. Just a possibility. Just a possibility. Anyway, so that happened on April 5th. You got to go buy it if you want to play it with the other dude that's on. I don't know. Whatever the number is.
Steam charts actually shows it as having 15 people right now. So
it's people that already bought it and want to check out the train wreck. They're not in match. They're in the lobby. So that was on the 5th. 4 days later, on the 9th, Boss Key announced its next game and said it was going into early access. The next day, the 10th. So 5 days. LawBreakers people waited 4.5 months for no news. Then the news they got was, you're asked out. Then 4 days later, Boss Key says, hey, here's something we've been working on. It's exclusively ours. We're going to publish it. By the way, it is going to be free to play. Oh, and you can get into early access tomorrow. We need to put a big disclaimer on this one first. It is extremely early access. We have our first look video up. Take a look. There are frame rates issues here all over the place. There are textures that aren't even on certain things. It is extremely early access on this one. And Jason, what did this shocking announcement that they were excited, what did it end up being?
So first of all, though, they didn't even just announce it on the 9th, on Tuesday. What, Tuesday? Monday. They were teasing it with like these 80s retro style game posters over the weekend. So even like, I don't know, maybe a day or two after the LawBreakers announcements, they were already gearing something. Well, in the LawBreakers thing, they did say we're working on another game. But yeah, you hear that after they shut down a game, you think, okay, in 4 months we're going to hear about this.
Right, we're moving on to another project now.
Yeah, sure, fine, whatever. But yeah, within a day or two, we were hearing something. There was clearly going to be something going on. And the game they are coming out with, or the game they announced, is called Radical Heights. And it is an totally over-the-top, cheesy 80s suburbia battle royale. That's all the adjectives I can stick in there.
So it's funny. I was in the shower this morning, and I had typed up the show notes yesterday because I had a lot of work conference calls today, so I wasn't going to get to it. So I typed them up early, and when I do that, it's always, guys, here's the show notes, but obviously if something big breaks, we'll strip one of these topics out and replace it. And so I was thinking about the show notes this morning, just making sure, okay, is there anything else I want to sub in and do this and this and this? And I was thinking about this topic, this particular game. And I was like, wow, so bizarre. And I feel like it was like the three of us sitting in a boardroom. And Q says, we're going to make a new game, guys. We need a really good game. We need to do something. LawBreakers didn't do well, and quite honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the next thing out of her mouth was, our studio's in trouble if we don't start getting some revenue in here some way. We need something we can do fast. And, like, all three of us were just like, dude, if I took, what if we took Grand Theft Auto Vice City, PUBG, and the Smash TV announcer, and, like, made it a game.
Were we eating pot brownies and just made a run to Taco Bell while this conversation happened?
It just seemed so bizarre to me. It was like, so they were like, hey, Battle Royale's really hot right now. We should make one of those. Yeah, but what ones would we make, Jason? What everybody's doing a gray Call of Duty looking one, and Fortnite's got cartoon down. What do we do, Jason?
Oh, man. I don't know.
And Jason's like, I really love Vice City. Dude, that's it. 80s. Oh, yeah. You know what else I like? Do you remember Smash TV?
Oh, yeah. Big money, big prizes. I love it.
It just seems, and I don't know why those things like all coalesced while I'm using Irish Spring, right? I have no idea why that was the moment of inspiration. It just seems so bizarre.
You know why? Because Irish Spring is a pretty 80s soap.
It did. It was like the commercial. I was like, and all of a sudden I'm in the fields of Irie. Yeah, it just. So that was their announcement, and I mean, there's not really much. We'll let Jason talk a little bit about the game in just a minute because he has played it. Again, Troy, we got his first look today and posted it. Very early access, but he did manage to win a match, so totally passively, never killed a single person. But congrats.
You spoiled it. I spoiled
congrats.
The whole first
He says it early. He says it early, but it's worth watching just to see the frame rate at certain points, just to see the character. Jason, I don't know if this happened to you, but there was a golf path kind of through the grass, and Troy's character was running on it, and he ran it off the path, and then he came back to get on the path, and if he didn't jump, he couldn't get on the path. It wasn't like a curb or a fence or anything like that. He just kept butting up against the edge of the hitbox on the path,
and had to was serious.
So it's extremely early. I'm sure they'll iron a lot of this stuff out, but it is funny and worth watching now. Here's the thing, Q, before we let Jason talk about the game itself. This, even not as a non-LawBreakers player, this totally rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't know if it did to you, too, but they were very forward in some information that I think maybe they shouldn't have been all that forward with in this case. Namely, that they've only been developing this game for 5 months. I believe it. I have no doubt that that is true. But that puts it right in the time where you basically shut up about LawBreakers. And yeah, you had very few customers at that point, but they were customers. They were people that paid to be there, and we're listening to you, and you released a roadmap to them and then didn't follow through on it, and we find out the reason why was because, in all honesty, although you publicly said a week ago you're ditching this game, you did it 4.5, 5 months ago. That and this decision for this particular game seems... Jim Sterling used the quote, how the mighty have fallen, in reference to Cliff Bleszinski and his trajectory. And say what you will about Cliff, Q, I can't disagree with that. Both of these choices are hugely reactionary choices. LawBreakers was a complete reaction to Overwatch. This is a complete reaction to the popularity of Battle Royale. It seemed like, and I'm not faulting them for the decision, I'm faulting them for the way they did it. It seemed like they went, oh shit, we're broke. We got no money coming in with our new product. Battle Royales are really freaking hot. Let's jump on that and try to create one really quick, but we need it to look different, so let's do something different visually. And they do some nifty little things. Again, this isn't a bashing of the game. They do some nifty things that I kind of dig in the game too. But I don't like the way this went down, and to be honest, I won't give them a dime. And I wasn't a LawBreakers customer, but I am a potential customer that sees the way you treated past customers, and I won't do it, Q.
One, for the whole mighty have fallen comment, I mean, yeah, okay, so Cliffy B was, and I just continue to call him this because it's his Twitter handle. So I mean, hey,
I still go. He asked for it not to be that way. I respect a person's
it's his
name,
Twitter handle, dude,
but I see your point too. I didn't even realize that till you brought it up yesterday.
But anyway, I mean, I've never really seen him like he's made good games with other people, right? It's not like he made the games all by himself. he worked with other people. He happened to be on teams that made really good games before, and he was the face, pretty much. And he was kind of the face, right? Because he was like the annoying bad boy of gaming. So the whole Mighty of Falling thing, I mean, it's just kind of to me. He's always kind of had a bit of, like it's part of his persona for so long, that attitude and everything. I think he's actually mellowed out some compared to the way he used to be. But as far as the whole dropping, just dropping Lawbreakers, not giving any information and all of that stuff, I do wonder how much of that is Boss Key's fault and how much of that is because of deals with Nexon and how much control Nexon had over what they were allowed to say and do, or how much fighting was going on between them during those 5 months or the months preceding or whatever, because obviously they're pretty pissed off at Nexon. Otherwise they wouldn't have made the publisher comment that they made. So
and what Q's referencing there is in their release, their announcement for this, they talked about a few things that, Jason, I'm going to go to you about as far as accessibility and things like that.
I have to read them.
Yeah, right. But they did make an extreme point to point out that this is ours. This is under our control. No publisher is going to tell us what to do with it. They weren't very. It wasn't a very flattering view of the publisher-developer relationship, and they were making a point to call that out. I think it's funny. You're jumping on the bandwagon. And I don't even fault you that much for it. If your company's in danger, which I have every reason to believe it's not in the best spot right now financially, and studios aren't cheap to run, and Cliff would know that better than I, but just from an outsider looking at it, I could see Boss Key being in some trouble and panicking and jumping on this trend. It's what we see a lot of clone mobile games do. What's popular? Let me make a version of that and grab a few bucks and then off to the next thing. That's why I kind of get this dirty taste in my mouth on this type of project, particularly screwing over paying customers with no word. At least give them word. Hey, guys. Clear. It's not like nobody knew it wasn't doing well, Jason. It's not like they hid numbers and it was a mystery LawBreakers wasn't doing well. On that front, they are doing some different things with this. One, it is free to play, and hopefully Cliff Bleszinski can swallow that, because apparently when we were talking about LawBreakers, it was a swear word, and he couldn't swallow it. I thought it interesting they also talked about accessibility as far as game difficulty, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a question of I think it's a question of game difficulty versus just the ability to get into the game and be able to understand its basic concepts without having to resort to guides or put in hours and hours of work. But yeah, those things they said was they talked about accessibility is king, and what do you say? Oftentimes as developers we say gameplay is king. Well, this is true. If a game isn't fun to play, if a game isn't fun, no one will play it. What we neglected, and they actually specifically referenced LawBreakers before. They said what we neglected is that accessibility is the kingdom. If your game isn't accessible, players will be thrown off and never grasp the fun that exists with the gameplay. Now,
it's such a funny comment when you were talking about LawBreakers months ago as the reason all shooters suck right now is because there is no difficulty.
Yeah, exactly.
And now saying, oh, well, you know what?
Maybe that wasn't such a great idea.
But it wouldn't be Boss Key if they didn't stumble or flat out fall right out of the gate in some way. And this one didn't start that well with the whole 15. There's a Founders Pack. You don't have to buy it. You can just go to Steam and jump in. It's not a required one. But there's a Founders Pack for $15. If you look at reports 4 days ago on what was in it and what's today in it, they're totally different. So find the most current thing you can, because they stumbled right out of the gate with free-to-play, which is a bit concerning, isn't it, Jason?
Yeah. So the way the game works is in the game, you're going to go around the suburbia and whatever. You're going to smack things. You can smack cash registers, like you said, pick up cash, get prizes. And cash is like a little number in your upper left corner, whatever. So you have maybe $500 in the game. You can go to a vending machine and buy a gun for $200 if you want. So that's a way to get something without doing scavenging. You can also go to an ATM. And also at the end of a match, you'll get a certain amount of money based on what you had, minus some that you drop. And that goes into your offshore bank account. Now, if you can also go to an ATM and pull money out of your offshore bank account, the stuff that you banked in previous games, get it into the game, and of course, then you can use that to go buy guns and whatever. And if you get killed, you're going to lose some of that as well. So there's a little bit of risk to it. But the issue is that in their founders pack, they were giving away $100,000, $100,000 cash.
Was it 100,000? I thought I saw 10,000.
Was it 10? Okay, maybe 10,000.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you might be right. 100 does sound like a lot. So the issue is then, it meant that if I had a founders pack and I jumped in, I could immediately go to an ATM, pull out some money, and go buy a gun. Without having played the game at all, I have money that I can use to get a gun in the game.
Right.
And that rubbed people a little bit the wrong way. It certainly felt a little pay-to-win-ish. There's also a plus 10% bonus on cash, which I don't know if it was. I think it was only what you accumulate at the end of the game. It doesn't count what you get during the game. So they took both of those out, and now instead you get gems, which is their cash shop currency that doesn't go back and forth in the game. It's just like a station cash, whatever the heck you wanted to call it back in the days for SOE. And that you can also use to buy cosmetics or so on out of game. You can buy them with the cash you accumulate in the game, or with their rad gems. So they did that to get rid of all that and get rid of the concept of pay to win, which I think would be easily enough done away with if you just didn't allow people to pull money from their offshore account into the game. Just do away with that, and then you can give them as much cash as you want outside of the game.
Right.
So,
and Q, you and I kind of agreed behind the scenes that to us personally, this wasn't pay to win because you can farm the money in game. And then particularly after Jason had played a match and said, this is what I got for a match and I was able to buy a gun for this much, we were like, the guns are kind of cheap. So
I did find a more expensive gun, like the super one was like $1,200, which is a lot. But a lot of stuff seems like
that based on what you got though, that's like 2 to 3 matches.
Well, yeah, if I can, yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, and so, but I can also see why people might be miffed for a little bit. And it being Battle Royale, there is no matchmaking thing that's going to level out and scale people and stuff like that. It's just throw 100 in there and go. To me, it wasn't pay to win, Q, and I think you kind of, I could see why you'd be upset, but get over it. Play a couple matches and you'll be fine.
I was kind of middle on it. I was kind of middle on it because I think, if I remember correctly, what I said was that if they did matchmaking and then everybody who was at the, like if there was some way to do matchmaking, I guess based on the amount of money or something that you had, then it obviously wouldn't be that big of a deal. But sooner or later, it's probably going to if you're playing enough matches, it's going to level out anyway pretty soon. So
yeah, and I think all three of us agree that it was a needless self-inflicted wound on Boss Key's part. It didn't need to. It didn't even. Now it's what it should have been. Here's a bunch of costume shit. Here's some gems so that you can buy stuff and put it in your prize room. It's what it's supposed to be. Quickly, watch the first look, obviously. Jason, you're the only one out of the three that played us. You want to give us a quick synopsis, impression of some of the gameplay and things like that?
I hate to say this because it's an early access game and it's a battle royale, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, Troy said the same.
And I've been seeing that a lot along the internet. A lot of people are like, it's obviously really rough. It's buggy, as we say. The textures aren't all in there. But it's getting kind of decent reviews. So, I mean...
Yeah, it had the initial wave of all negative.
Yeah.
But now it's battled its way up to mixed on Steam.
It's also had, let's see. Well, first of all, it is...
It's mixed right now.
Yeah, 55%. That's been going up kind of steadily.
Yeah, it was mostly negative a couple days ago.
It also currently has 5,873 players, 24-hour max of 12,757. If you go to Steam charts, LawBreakers topped out around 7,000.
Yep.
That was the most they ever had online at one time. It's already and that was when they had like free weekends, so it was technically free at the time.
I did like that there were like little side objectives when I watched the first, like bike races and things like that.
Yeah, bike races, like the spinning wheel, spin to win, and so on and so forth. Yeah, a lot of little extra stuff like that they threw in.
Here's my final word on it, and I'll give you two the final word on the whole topic. I'm not going to play it. I'm certainly not going to spend money on it. Do I wish it ill? As far as watching train wrecks, yeah, that'd be fun. But...
He's such a jerk.
But I don't wish it ill in real life here. I hope it does well. I hope people think it's fun. And that's more for the players and the employees at Boss Key. Would I like to see it fail in the respect that I think Cliff really just has not done a good job with Boss Key and has been incredibly reactionary to the market and kind of handed the shit stick to people that paid him money. I don't like that. It rubs me the wrong way. You abandoned your project and jumped to a new one with no word to anybody and failed to deliver or even mention promises you had already made. That rubs me the wrong way. You're not going to get $1 out of me, but I do wish the project well because you have a staff and players seem to like it. I don't have any gripe with the game so far itself, and I'm not going to play it, so I won't have a gripe. Q, where do you stand on it? Is it something you'll check out? Did you dig it? What's as far as the look?
Oh God, no! I don't do things like battle royales and stuff like that. I get really vicious and angry, and it would just be awful. In PvP where I have a team, I'm good, but yeah, I don't know. I have a vindictive streak, but I do want them to succeed, obviously, pretty much for the same reasons you said, and I'm pretty sure Cliffy B has a wife and kids and crap now. Yeah, and to be honest, though, here's what I think on the Cliffy B part. I think the guy, it's going to sound kind of pretentious when I say it, but I think the guy falls more into the artist category than the running a business category.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
As long as you're not trying to run a business.
Right.
He should have stayed an artist rather than try to run a business with a whole bunch of people. Because I've never, ever watching him gotten the impression that he's like a huge team player. He does a good job at what he does. He obviously did, a good job back in the day when everybody really loved him. But I just don't think he's a business guy. And I think maybe somebody else should be handling all that.
I also reserve the right to alter or change my opinion a little or even dramatically if at some point in the future we ever got details and saw that a lot of this came from Nexon, right? I mean, I'm expressing my opinion now based on Boss Key's actions and what they've been public with. I don't know Nexon's actions because they haven't been public. If we ever learned that in the future, I may change my opinion and say, Boss Key, it wasn't your fault. Totally take back everything I just said.
In reference to that, I do think a lot of it probably is Nexon. I don't know if you guys played like American McGee's Alice way back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And then Madness Returns. So when American McGee went and made Spicy Horse, he's still fighting to get full control of Alice back. Like they kind of dole it out to him for projects. But they won't let go. EA will not let go. So, I mean, the publishers, they're kind of dicks.
And we'll turn it over to Tommy Vercetti for the final word here.
You just gotta chill, man. This game is totally tubular.
You still sound like white suburban dad.
That's the idea.
Hey, Jason and Troy, enjoy it, and more power to them. Let us know. Keep us posted. All right, we got two things to cover really quickly, and then we'll move over to the bombs. Q, fines are going out, and Nexon is getting a big one.
Speaking of Nexon.
Right?
Speaking of Nexon being jerks.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Nexon. What do you expect?
So what's going down? Who's getting money here?
Oh, God. Actually, I think Jason wrote this one up, and I kind of missed seeing it, unfortunately. So
all right, go ahead,
it might be better to have Jason do it.
Good job. All right, so...
Yay!
This is why we provide links.
Yeah. Nexon's got this game, Sudden Attack in Korea. Sudden Attack 2 was actually out for a while, too, and didn't do anything. And actually, I saw Sudden Attack. We have a game page for Sudden Attack. It's like one of the oldest pages on our site from like March of 2011. But anyway, they had a loot box event thingy where you had to obtain 16 items from loot boxes that, when put together, would make the really big thing that gave you lots of benefits. The problem is that the drop rates on some of them were really, really tiny.
Like so you were collecting what, puzzle pieces, I think it was.
Yeah.
Then you build a puzzle.
Loot box crap, who knows? Yeah. And apparently the belief, or at least what the Korean Fair Trade Commission was under the impression that Nexon didn't let people know that they were of different rarities, that they thought and make people think that they were all roughly the same rarity, which led to people buying lots and lots and lots and lots of loot boxes, which of course.
And I think that's a fair assumption for the players. It's not like you're trying to get a specific mount versus a pair of boots. We're building puzzles. There's 16 pieces. Open these boxes and try and get all 16 pieces. I would reasonably think that they all have an equal chance of dropping. They're just puzzle pieces, for God's sake.
Exactly. So, yeah, like I said, the Korean Fair Trade Commission didn't think that Nexon was playing fair with that. So they actually fined Nexon, Netmarble Games, and Nextfloor, the three companies basically involved in this, for a total of 1 billion Korean won, which is about $935 million. Now, it's actually interesting to note that I've done research on like trading cards and why, now if you look at a pack of trading cards, it says, you get a super rare card once every 4 packs, a piece of jersey and, baseball card once every 100 packs, whatever. They have to label that because of a lawsuit that some early marketing on them made people think that they were all of equal rarity. So this is kind of the same thing, and which, makes people even more interested in getting that same kind of legislation for loot boxes, letting people know what the rarity tables on them are. So
they pointed to one particular player spending $430 US on these puzzle pieces, and they found the rarity for some of those pieces at a 0.5%.
Well, 1 out of 200.
That's that's a bit different than every piece being on the playing field. Now, I do need clarification here, Jason. The headline we have is Nexon fined nearly 1 million, but the total fine was 935 million. Do we just need a B in the headline?
Oh no, we need 1,000. Nexon fine. It needs to be 935,000.
Okay, so 1 billion Korean won is about 935,000 USD.
Or maybe I'm wrong there. Hang on, let me look that up. Keep talking.
Do the math. You know what this actually made me think of while he was describing it is the McDonald's Monopoly things.
Yeah, it's not that million in the article needs to be changed to 1,000.
Okay, it actually is what's Korean 944 million. Okay. Yeah, so I'm wrong on both of them.
No, your headline is fine. Your headline is Nexon fined nearly $1 million. 935,000 is it's just in the story. Change the million to 1,000. All right, go ahead, Q. Sorry, I was just like, wait, I want to quote this and I don't know which one to quote.
So I was thinking while I was describing it, it reminded me of the McDonald's Monopoly thing, that they do like every year, right? And did everything just go okay? No, it's fine. I thought my internet was doing its thing again. But anyway, like not only do they have weird rarities on them, but I mean, I'm not sure if this is true, but forever ago, on top of it, they were supposed to be making it to where only certain ones of those were available in certain regions, so nobody could ever actually get all the pieces.
Ugh. This world sucks. I don't want to live here anymore.
The funniest thing, though, is where I got the news from.
Go ahead.
Of course, I got the news. I got the news about loot boxes and gaming from Casino News Daily.
Yep.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
It's from a casino website.
The casino website is reporting on gaming loot boxes, but they're totally not gambling.
Well, that's like me constantly coming across gaming news on what is it, Christian Post or something like that. Like you'll just, and I'm just like, why?
So yeah, who else but Nexon? I can't take credit for that. Somebody commented that, and I thought it was funny. They actually may have used an expletive, but that's okay. Finally, before we go over to the bombs, I want to mention this just because I think it's interesting. We got a press release, by the way. It was not tweeted. It was not put up on Rift's page or anything. It was just a press release with no link to like an official announcement. None of that. But it was Tryon letting us know that Rift's Prime server, the subscription server that they just launched a while ago here, was doing really well. And in fact, in their most recent event, Q, they kind of set a Rift record, didn't they?
Yeah, they've pretty much topped any event that they've done, and it's literally the first event that they've done for this too. So
yeah, what'd they have to say in particular?
Let's see. That nearly 1,000 people were tackling the challenge, and the sheer volume of activity and teamwork there was simply awesome to see. That they knew they made the right call with Rift Prime.
Jason, I find this interesting.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm starting to see why, because you didn't allude to it in the post, but now I'm getting what you're getting at.
Yeah, hey, hold on, let me find my thing. So here, this was another quote from the press release, which was not in. We did not put it in the article. Where is it? All right, I can't find the exact quote, but when your first event on a subscription-based server for an MMO RPG tops the number of people that participated in said events when the game was arguably much more relevant, which is the bad side? Was Rift not so hot as hot as we thought it was way back when? Or is this just super, super stellar now and it's just exceeding, it's so big? Like, I can't decide which part of that equation is the shit part of the equation.
I almost feel like I'm calling BS on this.
Really?
I'm leaning in that direction. Because like you said, I mean, even when the game was... Silverwood is like the first zone. Isn't that the Guardian Zone or something? That's what they said it was.
Silverwood? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the low-level lobby zone. I cannot believe that on like day 1 or day 2 of the game being out originally 7 years ago, that you wouldn't have had more people playing it and participating in this event, unless they changed the game, so they changed like the zone size or server size or something like that, or possibly they had like, I don't remember how many servers they had originally, like 10 servers or something like that. So maybe people were spread out over those 10 servers, but now you have only like 1/5 the people, but they're all on one server, so it's essentially double the capacity of a previous server. So I guess maybe that could have happened.
Q?
I'm not sure. I don't remember, because it's been so long. I don't remember if they actually had the event when the game originally launched.
There's a mention what the name of the event was in the press release.
Vigil.
Yeah, and I honestly do not recall like if they had that event right off the bat. When
Vigil's the
launched.
server. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Vigil's the server, right?
It was the green, the one with the green dragon.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that they don't point out that either.
Even so. Release. Well, they say more than any event, not
a dynamic event. But then, yeah, my point was that they referenced any event.
Right.
Yeah.
It had
I can't
a
believe
dynamic event in Silverwood on day 1 had the most participants of any event in Rift history. That was the quote I was looking for. Thank you. And that's Amanda Fry, producer, saying that. According to a dynamic event in Silverwood on day 1 had the most participants of any event in Rift history. Then goes on with the quote that Q read about nearly 1,000 people were tackling the challenge. So was it just not as big as we thought it was back in the day? Because I always thought Rift was moderately successful as far as MMORPGs goes for the first year, maybe even 2 years, building into Storm Legion. Or is Prime just stunningly successful? More so, like I thought this was going to be successful, and we've heard good things. And you're right, Q. It was the Dragon Green scale. Is it just stunningly successful? More so than launch. That's impressive if that's the case. That is super impressive. But I kind of lean to you, Jason, and go, that's bullshit.
They're playing
no way.
Math. They're definitely playing
I think
with
there's
math a little bit.
a little bit of play going on.
They're not lying.
There is one other thing to consider.
Go ahead.
Too. So when Rift launched, right? I mean, it felt like it was doing pretty well. I mean, they did all those betas and everything, and it you know, like it just felt like there were a ton of people. But is it possible that it was a ton of our people, and that more people just actually know about the game now?
I found it an interesting stat to sit there and just mull over in my brain.
I think it was mass market enough. I mean, they had TV commercials, like actual on network, or maybe on cable it was. Yeah, they put it out there as a competitor to WoW.
And it had a poster on Big Bang Theory and all of that, too.
Yeah. So it was not just marketed to game professionals, really hardcore people.
No. When I say our people, I mean people who consider themselves gamers, like hardcore
like us,
gamers,
the people that follow MMOs in particular. You know,
right? Not press or anything like that, but people who are into that kind of thing, you know, or were at the time, however many years ago Rift came out now. Right. You know, as opposed to now when there's even more people that are just like, oh, like. It's just becoming a broader and broader thing, so there might be more people that are like, okay, I'll jump in and try it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying anything bad about Rift or the event or how it was or how it is. I don't know. I'm glad Prime is successful. I haven't checked it out myself yet, but that's because anytime I jumped into Rift, Q and we always just subbed up. You know, that was just the way you did it for the way we played. Okay, fine. I'm thinking about jumping into Prime, but without anybody to play with, whatever.
I need something to play now that there's nothing in Secret World again.
I just find it really bizarre to think about, how is that meant? Did Rift not do as well as I remember it doing back then, and Prime's just doing a little bit better? Or did Rift do exactly as well as I thought it did, and Prime is just knocking it out of the park even compared to launch, which I find highly unlikely.
Here's an interesting thing. I'm reading an article on MMORPG.com about this. It says,
always like to give credit.
Kelly Kiwi. And she says, how fast fixes are being implemented have been phenomenal, including server capacity limits being raised to cater to queues I thought I would never see again in Rift.
Maybe it's
so maybe they actually just have bigger servers. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's and I think there's obviously something to what you said, Jason, is that back at launch there were far more servers. The population would have been distributed more. It's interesting. I'm glad it's successful, and maybe I'll resub and check it out. I haven't yet, but I would definitely do it on a Prime server right now, rather than just go back to my account. And if you're looking for more content, that's coming soon. We have that article up at MMO Bomb 2. In the meantime, we're going to jump over and finish up with the weekly bombs. I'm going to go first. A-bomb to PUBG. Stop suing people over stupid shit. Yes, everybody's trying to be a clone of yours right now. That sucks. You're the big dog on the block. That's what people are going to do. And if somebody steals your assets and stuff and uses them, by all means, protect yourself. Don't sue another company because they made a Battle Royale clone and put a frying pan in it, and so did you. That's stupid. That's stupid. Go ahead, Jason.
The buildings, man. The buildings.
Oh, for God's sakes. PUBG used assets from the damn Unreal store.
Yeah. Now that I know that, yeah. Gotta give a bomb to Radical Heights for now.
Wow!
It just stays in my head, and I just can't stop thinking
There's
of
some buildings that are just gray squares right
now.
I
know. It's early access. It looks like crap, but I keep wanting to play it. It's probably because I'm decent. I didn't win my first match, but I did come in third, which is like incredible for me. And that's my best finish ever in a Battle Royale game that wasn't like 99% bots, like that one Chinese game I tried out once. So yeah, I mean, I kind of hope it does better and improves itself. So
well, it's already doing better than LawBreakers, so it's off to a good start.
Well, the question is it making more money than LawBreakers? That's the problem. At least LawBreakers people paid for their game. So
well, I mean, even if you put a 20% conversion rate on it, they're doing pretty well. And I think a $15 Founders Pack isn't too much of a hard ask when you're saying, "Hey, do you like it? Throw us $15." Q, go ahead.
I'm going to give a serious A-bomb to Comcast Xfinity because apparently they don't actually want me to be online. At least not in the afternoons. See, it's doing it again. Right now. I can see it. It's free. It's pissing me off. Which, by the way, you should probably give me the short things to read because I'm literally sitting here just watching my shit freeze.
All right, so we'll change up the order a little bit here. Why don't you go first then, Q?
All right. Hadrix Sky Shadow. Heroes of the Storm gets an A-bomb. Dub-bomb? I don't know. Deckard Cain was announced on the 5th, but I still had to see if it's an April Fool's joke. I could understand that. I mean, I'm happy for Diablo's new hero, but this looks like a joke. Right now, I can't take him seriously until he breaks the game with an OP release like any other hero.
His abilities were awesome. His abilities
Adrex,
were awesome.
You're confused whether it's an A-bomb or dub-bomb. Do we need the chart again?
Do we
need the chart?
I think what they're saying is they're not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing because they're not sure if it's an April Fool's joke or not.
Right. Go ahead, Jason.
Lucivex Treasurer says, so I went out to murder Storm Legion people to farm cloth so I can make some of our characters in Rift gear. My husband was sitting next to me eating breakfast and watching me go about my business when one of the guys drops an autumn hedge. It's a dimension item. I comment that I have no idea why a Storm Legion soldier would be carrying a hedge. Like, is it an actual hedge, like grass, lawn thing?
It's a shrubbery!
Shrubbery. It's actual shrubbery.
We are all, I know, trying so hard to avoid quoting Monty Python right now.
Then I theorize, maybe he needed to sneak around, was using it for cover, to which my husband chimes in with, or maybe he's in a play and that's his costume. There's a pause and after that, after a thoughtful moment, he adds, or maybe he's the one Storm Legion guy that just does this as a job, and this is his kid's costume for the school play. You murderous dick. So top bomb to my hubby for his weird-ass theories about NPCs I murder when I farm. I think the NPC was taking a break from Fortnite Battle Royale, where you can dress up as a shrub in there and hide. I think he actually wanted to be playing that instead of going out and working for the Storm Legion.
Okay, so he went to Fortnite. We went to Monty Python.
Okay.
Yeah, your hubby is sounds like my kind of guy. That's amazingly funny. Korukan says, "Da-bomb to Boss Key Productions for that stellar announcement of the next big Battle Royale game on the scene. Genuinely, I don't think I've laughed as hard as I did reading the announcement, and to think it's going to be free to play as well. Hope there's enough humble pie to go around the office. A-bomb to A-bombs, at least trying to come up with A-bombs. Nothing has irked me enough this week to have it publicly called out on a podcast. I'll take 2 more of my grumpy old guy pills and see how I feel next week." Hey, man, if you got nothing to complain about, you're living the life. Go ahead, Q.
I have some extra grumpy old guy pills if you need them. Just hit me up. I got plenty.
It's true. It's true. X-Crook 3DX. In my opinion, the building aspect of Breakaway was the worst part of it. Everything else was pretty good.
That was us speculating on, the building was kind of unique, right? Till Fortnite came out. Question of the week last week, and this one was more for me, and fitting based on today's lead topic. What draws you or pushes you away from Battle Royale games? I kind of don't get the big deal, so I'm asking very seriously. I mean, I know they can be fun. I just can't comprehend somebody sitting there and playing it for 6-7 hours like I know a lot of people do. Hydrex Sky Shadow says, me, personally, I couldn't give less of a shit if I tried. But this isn't my idea on why people dislike the Battle Royale type games. It's everywhere. It's the new trend, just like MOBA or SSG, where it's a perfect, okay type of game, but when everyone is talking nonstop, it's hard not to form a negative opinion for something that's been shoved down your throat. It's pretty much the same effect that Frozen had. Too much exposure and praise to the point where people did a 180 turn and they said it's not just boring, but also a bad movie. But that's just what I believe is happening. It's not a fact. As to why anyone would play it, how the fork am I supposed... And they did say fork. How the fork am I supposed to know that? Why did anyone play MOBAs? Probably played every single damn MOBA out there and have no clue whatsoever as to why I did play them. It's a perfect representation of the definition of insanity. Go ahead, Jason.
You hating on Frozen.
Are you going to wear a costume next week?
Dress up as Elsa, yeah, sure.
If you start singing, I swear to God.
Hey, Drex, your hate, just let it go. Okay.
Oh, you're a jerk.
Korukan says, the way I see it, BR is the next stage of immediate gratification. It used to be, hey, I don't want to spend 3 months leveling this warrior to get to endgame, so I'm just going to play this MOBA or FPS. Now, instead of learning champions, weapon sprays, or maps, you can jump into a BR game and have a decent chance of winning. Sure, there'll always be those who hit the game hard and know everything there is to get chicken dinner each time, but you haven't got to be the best to pick up a victory royale. I should know. I watched my 11-year-old cousin get a victory royale, and he, bless him, isn't that great.
And I think there's a certain ring of truth to that, Jason. It's, because up until recently, Battle Royale was a mode in games. And
yeah, a
so,
little bit.
I can
Very,
very
very
much
quickly
see,
broke out into its own thing.
right. I can very much see the mentality of, hey, you know, when I tell you, Jason, get to end game, that's when it gets really good. Well, then this is just end game. Here's Battle Royale. Boom. Just
there you go.
Go ahead, Q.
Bruckner Caitlin. So for the question of the week, most people I know that play Battle Royale games also play League of Legends, Dota, CSGO, and other PvP games, so I guess it just scratches that itch for them.
Yeah, I mean, and who am I to judge? By the way, the question was not coming off as why the hell are you playing these? I genuinely wanted to know what the appeal was for long-term play. So I thank everybody for the feedback. Talivis says Battle Royale games are addictive because the whole experience is kind of like a slot machine. Everything is randomized from the people that drop with you to the weapons or armor you can find. It's basically one giant gambling table, and I hate gambling. I prefer to rely on skill and intelligence rather than luck and some intelligence. Perfect little analogy for why somebody might like that type of thing. It's all random and luck-based in some regards. I mean, there's obviously some skill that goes into these battle royales. Let me take a look at the length of the next one. Q, take this next one.
Stefan W. Lee. I don't get Battle Royale either. My reasons for not playing is the lack of progression.
That's mine too.
Just currencies to buy RNG boxes with cosmetics only isn't enough. Also, I feel that I'm doing the same thing every match, even though they play differently. It's not varied enough for me, which would probably be one of the reasons I've never been interested.
Yeah, that's why I can't play. To me, every single match is so similar that it's not like a League of Legends or to me where the matches are going to play out dramatically different. It's just, I don't know.
I think League of Legends plays the same thing every time, but typical MOBA. But
right. Go ahead, Jason.
Kinetic Fetus says, I just flat out don't like them. I like having some kind of meaningful progression in my gaming, and Battle Royale games, it's either non-existent or it's a damn joke like in Fortnite BR. I think a big part of the popularity of these games comes from them pulling in loads of people that are new to gaming or play games very little. All right, so I'm going to go with my other, just get damn endgame rant here, which is maybe it shouldn't be that someone who's played 6 months just has all the gear and all the loot and could totally trash a newbie just because he has all that gear and loot. That maybe vertical progression isn't always the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, so, I mean, maybe that's why I have such a hard time. Yeah, maybe that's why I have a hard time looking at them. I'm the type of person that if I like a game, I'm gonna put in the time where if I was more casual in nature, this would appeal to, or if I had less time or didn't do it as a profession, something that's snappy and quick. And yeah, maybe you're right, Jason.
But the problem is then when you do leave a game for like 6 months or so or a year, you can't get back into it without grinding up all that other stuff.
Yeah, and you go to Battle Royale, you're not going to have that problem. I mean, there's certainly aspects of appealing that I'm learning from.
It's a little like your notion of you wish your game was free to play until you like it, then you wish it was paid. You wish your game had horizontal progression until you like it, then you wish it was vertical.
Right.
So,
Q, go ahead. We'll jump back to you, and then I'll take the last one.
All right. Okay, I don't get Battle Royale games. They are all the same to me. You land, you get stuff, you kill some, or die immediately. Win or lose, and that's it. You don't get to do, and you get to do it again. Why? I just don't get them. Obviously, it's not made for me. 15 minutes, and then I'm done. I don't see the point in playing it. I guess progressing my character is important to me, and there's none of that in Battle Royale.
And finally, from Blue Aryan, same reason you'd like any other type of game. You can say you do the same thing all the time in any game. Even in MMORPGs, you're mostly doing the same thing eventually. It's just mostly if you like it or not. Shooters are one of the most popular style of games over here in the West. You might say nothing changes, but it changes like classes do in RPGs or characters in MOBAs. Different guns, different armor, and when you get them all, they affect how you play. All packaged in something that's easy to play and easy to understand. Also helps that a huge part of Call of Duty and other shooters community got into it. It's just if you're into that or not. Different strokes for different folks. And Blue, that is a perfect way to sum that up. If Battle Royale's your thing, go for it. I just wanted to hear some opinions on why people liked it or didn't. Question of the week this week. Time to make your predictions, baby. Here we go. How will Radical Heights from Boss Key Productions do? Will it succeed? Will it just be mediocre? Will it fail in dramatic fashion? Something in between? Tell us your prediction for the game in the comments below and why. Don't forget your weekly bomb, da bomb for something good, a bomb for something bad. Of course, always refer to our fans chart there. And until next week, Q, where can everybody find you?
Hanging out on Twitter at Quintland. I'm currently posting random circular Gallifreyan stuff, so.
Very nice. Mr. Winter.
On Twitter, Winter Informal, streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there on Twitter at MagicMan1. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so that we can tweet you all the latest news, even when it breaks right after the free-to-play cast. You could see it right then and not have to wait till the next cast. All the first looks like Radical Heights, which is up now, giveaways, articles, and more. Until next week, stay safe. See you on the servers.